All right, I'm here with Edward Boches, Chief Creative Officer of Mullen. I work with some major clients, Zappos, Century 21, and I want to talk to him a little bit today about some of the challenges facing the creative side of marketing with social media being so prolific now. And thank you for talking, Edward.
My pleasure, great to be here.
So you've evolved Mullen from a small agency 20 years ago that focused on print advertising into a very broad creative shop that does social media, public relations, sort of cutting edge digital work. Tell me a little bit about that evolution and where you think creative is going.
I think we have a really interesting challenge on our hands now, which is we're not in the business necessarily of telling stories anymore. We may be in the business of inspiring others to tell stories for us, or soliciting their participation in the telling of stories, or perhaps allowing them to become the story themselves, if you think in terms of social media. And it actually requires an entirely new mindset of, well, therefore, what is creativity? If it isn't a script executed as a TV spot, what is creativity now in this new space?
No, I read the other day an interesting fact in The Economist that there are 40 billion photos that have been uploaded to Facebook. So if you think about all that user-generated content, have brands lost control? I mean, have users really done an end run around the brand controlling the message? How does a brand engage with them when they want to play with it?
You know, I think certainly brands have, you can look at it two ways. You can say brands have either lost control or brands have this new opportunity to take advantage of the consumer-generated content and the desire for everybody to participate. But I think the challenge, therefore, is how do I inspire, mobilize, gather that community in a positive, constructive way? So, I mean, I think we all know what some of the really good examples are. I just spent some time with Mike Aruz from Undercurrent, who did the Ford Fiesta movement.
Okay.
And they basically launched that vehicle with a social media program that harnessed 100 kids to drive the cars around the country, generate content, blog, videos, etc. So what is creative? Is it the video that some Fiesta agent makes, or is it the strategy that came up with an idea that would co-create, gather, and inspire a community to make content and spread it and make it viral and drive it all over the web? And I think that's the new kind of creativity. I think the big challenge, besides what constitutes creativity, is how does a CMO or a marketer harness this kind of stuff? So you have advertising, you have media, you have social media, you have digital, you have viral, you have all these kinds of things. And I'm a CMO, I've got to figure out how to put a lot of this stuff together. My thinking is the best place to start is with the consumer and the user, but not the old way that advertising used to look at it, which was, what does the consumer think about my product and my brand, and what obstacle do I have to overcome, and what message do I have to deliver? But instead think about, what is the consumer's relationship to content, technology, media, and community? And if I understand how the consumer interacts with all of those things, perhaps I will realize, okay, in some cases I'm making entertainment. In some cases I'm solving the desire of the user to search and solve. In some cases I'm creating opportunities for co-creation or distribution and sharing. And in each of those places, I have to have a slightly different definition of what constitutes creativity.
So how do you measure that? So if you're a CMO and you take 5% of your budget and you start experimenting with these new platforms, impressions were the old school advertising currency. There's cost per inquiry with direct response. How do you measure, what should you be measuring to see if it's actually working?
I think we're seeing things, say in the case of Facebook, where as it continues to add metrics, engagement, impressions, even churn of your fan base, there's an opportunity to figure out, okay, I'm doing a conversation strategy on Facebook. I've got X number of hundreds of thousands of fans. I know they don't even come to my fan page. They engage with my content through their feed. So I have to maximize the frequency by which I put stuff into their feed without spamming them, without annoying them in a way that they're going to want to engage it. Yep. Guess what? 70% of the stuff I put into that feed better not be anything about me or promoting my product or an offer or an incentive. It better be engagement and questions, and it also better be the gift of entertainment and information and stuff that's fun, that's going to make them like me, And then maybe 30% of the time I can put an offer, an incentive, et cetera. Now I can measure all of that. I can, in terms of how much it gets engaged, clicked on, touched, and whether I'm increasing my fan base through that conversation strategy, or whether I'm driving churn up because I'm spamming people or I'm driving them crazy with too much content. It's a new way of doing stuff, but I think a smart, innovative marketer can figure a lot of that out.
So you work with a lot of different brands, a lot of different industries. Does social media fit better for some models than others? I went to a quick example. I went to Facebook and checked out the fan page of a major U.S. bank a few months ago, and it had 1,100 fans. So here's a bank with millions of customers, but people didn't appear wanting to, connect with it. So where does this work or not work?
I'm fond of saying that when we move into social media, a brand's product is not its product. Its product is its content. And so what any brand who moves into social media has to figure out, well, what should my content in that space be? So if you look at a financial brand, and you realize, okay, what do people search for in that space? How to retire, put my kids through college, get more out of my home, save more money, worry less about healthcare costs, etc. There's a whole bunch of things that really matter to people that if I were any financial brand, I would be trying to figure out how can I structure content that will be of value to that community, that will make them give me props and cred for helping them with that content.
I guess the question I have is, if you were a CMO tomorrow, if you left Mullen and became CMO of a major enterprise, what 3 questions would you need to answer to sort through the hyperbole and really figure out how to get started with social media?
So the first thing I would really want to know is, can I determine the value of a fan, number one, or a follower, or a member of a community? Number 2, what is the best and most efficient way to build that community? Should I buy it with engagement ads on Facebook, or should I incent people to become fans, or should I do the hard, roll up the sleeves, organic work, time and effort and interaction and engagement and blogger comments, etc., to build that? What's the trade-off in terms of cost and time? The next thing I would want to know is, once I have a community, what are the different things I can do with it that are going to be effective to my business? Am I trying to use that community to get them to buy more of my products?
Sure.
Adidas has 2 million fans on Facebook, and they know that those fans each spend $200 a year on average. So is my objective to get them to buy more, or now is my business model better to increase the size of my community? So I'd want to do that. So if I am in fact talking to an agency, I want to talk to someone who has a point of view on that from a strategic perspective, a point of view on that from the content that's going to help make it happen, and certainly can show me metrics and analytics that can help me not only measure after the fact, but predict and make decisions. That's what I'm looking for.
So is there a question that keeps you up looking down the road to the future? Is there one question out there that's not answered yet that you would like to see solved in the next 12 months?
What keeps me up at night would be, I have a limited amount of budget, I've got to make stuff happen in the marketplace. How in God's name do I get that formula right?
How much time do you spend on social media? I see you everywhere online. Personally, how much effort do you put into it?
Well, a couple things. One is, it is my job now.
Yeah.
I mean, I direct social media for the agency. I'm a big believer, and this I couldn't say anything with more conviction, that you can't understand social media, its potential, or how to be creative in the space unless you do it. As soon as I started playing with Twitter, ideas like Trash Talk from the Twitter section, Brand Bowl, they become obvious to me that those are creative opportunities in that space. I could never have conceived of any of that kind of stuff without playing and living there. Same thing with SEO. I couldn't have understood SEO until I became a blogger. So I spend, I want to say, 4 hours a day at least between Twitter, blogging, interaction, learning, studying, thinking about content, putting presentations together, maybe even more sometimes.
Yeah. Edward, thank you, man.
My
Fantastic
pleasure.
interview, appreciate it. Edward
South by
Boches.
Southwest rocks, and great to be with Ben.
All right, thanks
so
guys.
much.